The old asphalt of the driveway was cracked, fissured with dark, twisting lines like forgotten veins. I stood on the porch of the house I had paid for, feeling the late October chill seep into my bones, a coldness that had nothing to do with the weather. I was holding a pecan pie, still warm from my oven, nestled against my chest like a ridiculous, comforting shield. My daughter-in-law, Serafina, opened the mahogany door just a crack. She didn't open it wide enough to let me in, only wide enough to let the rejection out. The rich, savory scent of the dinner I had been invited to, roast lamb with mint, my son's favorite, wafted out into the cool evening air, a scent that now smelled like a mockery. Serafina's smile was a masterpiece of thin, forced civility, the kind of smile you deploy to dismiss a persistent intruder. "Oh, Beatrice," she said, her voice immediately dropping to a conspiratorial whisper, though the street was silent and dark. "I think Alistair forgot to mention. Tonight's really not ideal for you." I blinked, confused. My hands were trembling slightly, not from the cold, but from a sudden, sharp, stomach-dropping instinct that something truly terrible was unfolding. "But Alistair invited me," I said, my voice sounding smaller than I wanted it to, barely reaching above a plea. "7 sharp. He said it was just a small family gathering for his promotion." Before Serafina could construct another seamless lie, my son appeared behind her. Alistair, my only child, the man whose entire career trajectory had been financed by the liquidation of my late husband's business assets, the man wearing a custom-tailored suit that cost more than my annual property tax. He didn't look me in the eye. His gaze was scattered, at the polished imported tile floor, then the ornate crown molding, then somewhere over my left shoulder. "Mother," he started, and the single word, brittle and formal, made my blood turn to ice. "We're keeping tonight exclusive. Just a few high-level colleagues and directors from the firm. It might be disorienting for you." Disorienting. The word hung in the humid air, heavy and poisonous. Disorienting for me? In the home I had gifted them the down payment for, the home I paid the monthly taxes on, standing before the son whose life I had subsidized for 25 years. I looked down at the pecan pie in my hands, wrapped in foil. It suddenly felt utterly foolish, a humble offering at a king's court. "I thought I was foundational," I whispered, the word escaping like a final, fragile breath. Serafina smoothed the heavy silk of her bespoke dress, a fabric I knew cost more than the emergency fund I kept for my rattling old sedan. "It's just better if you skip this one, Beatrice," she said. And then she delivered the final blow, a phrase so cruel in its casual audacity that it would fracture my world forever. "Honestly, you should really learn to live less opulently so we can continue to stabilize our financial future. We need the space tonight. Live less opulently." The sheer, staggering contempt of the phrase physically arrested my breathing. They wanted me to live less opulently. Yet, here I was, standing on a porch financed by my sacrifice, wearing a coat I'd patched myself, while they prepared to entertain powerful guests on the steady, unceasing flow of my capital. They didn't want me to live less opulently. They wanted to live more opulently at my expense, and they wanted me to be utterly invisible while I did it. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. Not there. I simply nodded. The movement felt mechanical, like a rusty hinge finally giving way. "I see," I said. "Well, you two enjoy your evening of stabilization." I turned, my old bones protesting the indignity of the retreat. The porch light, a grand wrought iron fixture I had surprised them with last Christmas, clicked off before I even reached my car. I was plunged into sudden, oppressive darkness, holding a pecan pie that no one wanted. In that blackness, the truth struck me with the force of a physical blow. For the last decade, I hadn't been a mother or a grandmother. I had been an unfeeling resource, an endless pipeline of cash. And resources don't get invited to exclusive dinner parties. Driving home, the tears finally came. They were hot, stinging, and so heavy they blurred the streetlights into long, watery streaks of regret. The realization was a devastating, irreversible fracture. The people I loved most didn't love me. They loved what I enabled. They loved the safety net I provided, but they did not love Beatrice Thorne, the woman who had sacrificed everything for them. As I turned into the driveway of my own small, dark house, a house that needed urgent roof repairs, A house with a geriatric, rattling furnace, the sadness began to cool, hardening into something else. It was grim, dense, and utterly unforgiving. I walked into my kitchen and set the pecan pie on the counter. It was cold now. I sat in the dark, listening to the monotonous hum of the refrigerator, and thought about Serafina's chilling phrase, "Live less opulently." I felt a spark of resolve ignite in my chest, a cold flame burning away the residual self-pity. They were worried I would make them disoriented or uncomfortable. Well, I thought, placing my hands flat on the peeling laminate countertop, perhaps it was time they learned what genuine discomfort felt like. The next morning, I woke up with a chilling clarity I hadn't felt since my husband's funeral. The usual morning ritual of worry. Did Alistair pay the insurance? Did Serafina get the appointment? Do the children need school fees? Was utterly gone. The space was filled with grim, methodical determination. I went to the heavy, sticking drawer where I kept the records. It groaned under the weight of the truth I had ignored for too long. I pulled out the file marked the family trust, a foolish, sentimental label. It should have been marked Alistair and Serafina's seamless existence. I sat at my cracked kitchen table with a cold cup of tea and began to count. I needed to see it, quantified and clinical. I needed to see the precise price tag of their contempt. The first page detailed the private estate tax payments, direct monthly debit from my late husband's legacy account. The second page listed the 4 premium vehicle leases, the massive, insulated SUV Serafina claimed was necessary for the children's comfort, the high-performance sedan Alistair used for client perception, the expensive golf cart for their country club, and the utility truck for their seasonal groundskeeping crew. Then came the insidious, smaller things that added up like the slow, relentless drips of water, rotting the foundation of my own security. The $5,000 monthly landscaping retainer, the exclusive yacht club membership fees, the children's dual-language private school tuition, the premium medical and dental plans, the weekly gourmet grocery delivery, and the constant stream of consultant fees, from their financial planner to their interior decorator. I ran my finger down the columns, my heart pounding a slow, heavy rhythm against my ribs. I stopped counting when the total reached 150 active recurring payments flowing from my accounts directly into their lives. 150 ways I was keeping them afloat. 150 reasons they felt opulent enough to close the door in my face. I stared at the staggering total at the bottom of the page. It was more than my husband and I had lived on in our best year together. I looked around my kitchen. My stove was 20 years old. My countertops were cheap laminate. I still mended my own clothes and clipped coupons for every purchase. I had been living less opulently for a decade, so they could live like entitled monarchs. A wave of cold, righteous fury washed over the nausea. It was not about the money. A mother gives what she has. It was the contempt. It was the fact that they took the money with one hand and then pushed me away with the other. They thought this lifestyle was their birthright. They had utterly forgotten who built the floor they were standing on. I closed the file. The sound was a soft whisper of paper against paper. But in the quiet of my kitchen, it sounded like a gavel coming down on a verdict. I knew what I had to do. This wasn't a punishment, which is temporary. This was an eviction. I was evicting them from the boundless bank of Beatrice. My phone rang, startling me. It was Alistair. For a second, a foolish, painful second, I thought maybe he was calling to apologize. I picked it up. "Mother," he said, his voice rushed, clipped, and devoid of any familial warmth. "The groundskeeping invoice is past due, and they're threatening to cancel the winterization service. The card on file must have expired again. Can you check that immediately? We need the lawn pristine before the Thanksgiving gala." No apology, no mention of the previous night's cruelty, just a casual demand, an expectation that I was his private, geriatric secretary and financier rolled into one. My hand tightened around the phone until my knuckles turned white. "I'll look into it, Alistair," I said, my voice steady, betraying nothing of the deep, tectonic shift occurring inside me. "Great, thanks. Gotta run. Board call in 5. And he hung up. I sat there, listening to the sharp, dead-dial tone. "I'll look into it." Oh, I would look into it. All right. I stood up and grabbed my purse. The bank opened in 30 minutes. Walking into the bank felt different that day. I'd banked at the same branch for 40 years. I knew the tellers. I knew the manager, Linda. Usually, I walked in feeling like a tired old woman managing her dwindling capital. Today, I walked in with the grim, quiet confidence of a saboteur. "Beatrice," Linda said, smiling warmly as she waved me into her office. "Good to see you. How are the grandchildren?" "They're fine, Linda," I said, taking a seat. "I'm here to make some changes. Significant ones." Linda's smile faltered slightly as she registered the cold resolve in my eyes. She closed the door, the latch clicking with an ominous finality. "Is everything all right?" "Everything is about to be," I said. "I need to cancel all automatic transfers to Alistair and Serafina's accounts. Every single one. The estate tax payments, the vehicle leases, the club memberships, the tuition, the utility services. All of it." Linda blinked, her professional mask slipping for a fraction of a second. "Beatrice, that's a monumental amount of activity. There are over 150 recurring payments linked to those accounts. Are you sure? This will result in immediate and widespread service interruptions for them." "I have the list right here," I said, sliding my meticulously highlighted folder across the desk. "I've highlighted everything that needs to stop. Today, effective immediately." Linda looked at the list, her eyes widening as she scanned the sheer volume of their subsidized existence. She looked back at me, and I saw a flash of profound, weary understanding in her eyes. Women our age, we know the look. We know what it looks like when a woman has given until she's hollowed out. She didn't ask for details. She didn't try to talk me out of it. She simply nodded. "And one more thing," I added, lowering my voice. "I need to revoke Alistair's power of attorney, and I want to remove him as a beneficiary on my life insurance and the remaining annuities." The room went silent. This was the nuclear option. This was cutting the cord in a way that couldn't be reattached. "We can do that," Linda said softly. "It will take some paperwork, and we'll need an emergency meeting with the estate attorney." "I have time," I said. "I have plenty of time." As I signed paper after paper, my hand did not shake. With every signature, I felt a weight lifting off my shoulders. It was a physical sensation, like dropping a massive, heavy pack I had been carrying up a mountain for decades. Why had I carried it for so long? Because I thought it was love, or because I was afraid that if I put it down, they would walk away from me completely? They had walked away anyway. They had uninvited me. So what was I paying for? By the time I left the bank, it was noon. The sun was shining with a cold, autumnal brilliance. I decided to treat myself. I went to the upscale French bakery on Main Street and bought a fresh almond croissant and a strong cup of Brazilian coffee, the kind with the thick foam that Serafina always scoffed at as financially unsound. I sat by the window and ate it, watching the world move with a strange, giddy lightness. I wondered how long it would take for their seamless whirl to begin to fissure. It didn't take long. The first text came that evening, just as I was settling in with a complex, dusty novel. It was from Serafina. "Serafina, 7:30 p.m. Beatrice. The groundskeepers called. They said payment declined. Also, the subscription service for the children's educational apps isn't working. Did you get a new card? Please send the details, ASAP." I looked at the message, took a sip of my herbal tea, and noted the immediate assumption of error on my part. I didn't reply. 20 minutes later, a text from Alistair. "Alistair, 7:50 p.m. Mother, did you forget to transfer the utility payment? I just got an automated warning that the service will be interrupted. Please handle this immediately. We are expecting guests. Handle this. Immediately. Not, are you okay? Not, is something wrong? Just fix it." I turned my phone over and left it face down on the scarred laminate counter. Let them wonder. Let them sit in the dark for a night, a mere taste of the discomfort they had wished upon me. The next morning, the storm broke. I was in my small, neglected garden, pruning the ancient climbing roses, something I hadn't had the time or energy for in months. My phone started buzzing in the pocket of my gardening smock. It buzzed and buzzed and buzzed. A furious, trapped hornet. I finally pulled it out. 13 missed calls from Alistair, 7 from Serafina, and a string of texts that escalated from confused to frantic, then straight into open-mouthed fury. "Alistair, 9 a.m. MOM, answer the phone. The property tax payment bounced. The The bank says the entire joint account is frozen. What is going on? The utility company shut off the internet and the security system. You are jeopardizing my career. Serafina, 9:15 a.m. Beatrice. The children were sent home from private school. They said tuition is 4 months overdue. I am calling my lawyer regarding your sudden senile actions. Fix this now. I put the phone back in my pocket and clipped a large, dead bloom off the rose bush. Beauty requires pruning, my own mother used to say. You have to cut back the dead weight so the plant can thrive. I understood that now in a way I never had before. As I was calmly eating my lunch, a simple egg salad sandwich I had made for myself, I heard the shriek of tires and the slam of a heavy car door. I didn't need to look out the window. The heavy, frantic footsteps on the porch told me everything. The door burst open. Alistair stood there, his face blotchy and crimson, his expensive suit rumpled. He looked like a man whose world had just tilted violently on its axis. "Mother," he bellowed, "what did you do?" "The bank said. They said you stopped everything. The estate payments, the car leases, the insurance. Do you have any idea how catastrophic this is? They're repossessing Serafina's SUV." I slowly chewed my sandwich and swallowed. I gestured toward the battered wooden chair opposite me. "Hello, Alistair. Would you like some tea?" "I don't want tea," he roared, pacing the small kitchen, his highly polished shoes scuffing the linoleum. "I want to know why my company credit card was declined this morning. I want to know why the bank is calling me about the mortgage on our house. Do you realize how embarrassing this is?" Embarrassing. I placed my sandwich down and met his eyes, my gaze steady. "Is it disorienting?" I asked, my voice a quiet, dangerous current. "Is it uncomfortable? Like standing on a porch with a homemade pecan pie and being told you are not worthy to step inside?" His face went pale. The full, crushing weight of the previous night's contempt clearly crashed into him. Is that what this is about? You're doing this because you're mad about a dinner invitation." "I'm not mad, Alistair," I said, my voice hardening. "I'm just ensuring you learn to live within your own comfort, not mine. I am forcing you to experience the reality of the life you were too arrogant to actually finance yourself." "This is insane," he sputtered, running a hand through his expensive gelled hair. "You can't just cut us off. We have commitments. We have a lifestyle to maintain. The children's tuition is due next week." "Then I suppose you should get your checkbook out," I said calmly. "I don't have that kind of money just sitting around, Mother. You know that we rely on your stability." "And that," I said, standing up, my full height imposing despite my age, "is the problem. You don't rely on my stability, Alistair. You rely on me entirely. You are 42 years old, a director at a major firm, making a significant salary. And yet, I pay for your wife's luxury clothing subscriptions. I pay for your children's extravagant international field trips. I pay for the roof over your head. You have engineered a life where you make 6 figures, but you are functionally insolvent." "It's family money," he argued, his voice cracking. "Father wanted us taken care of." "Your father wanted you to be a man," I said, the word cutting him to the quick. "He wanted you to be independent. If he saw you now, a man who turns his mother away from his door because she's not exclusive enough while wearing a watch she bought you, driving a car she pays for, he would be ashamed." Alistair flinched as if I had slapped him. The anger drained away, leaving only panic. "You're ruining us," he whispered. "No," I said. "I'm saving you. Because right now you are a parasite, Alistair, and I have let you be one. That is my failure, but I am correcting it today." He stared at me for a long time, his eyes searching mine for any sign of the pushover, ATM mother he had known his whole life. He didn't find her. She had died on his opulent porch the night before. "Fix it," he pleaded, his voice trembling. "Just fix it, Mother. Please." "I am fixing it," I said, stepping past him to the kitchen door. "Now, please leave my house. I have gardening to do." He walked out the door like a zombie, stunned and silent. I locked the door behind him and leaned against it, closing my eyes. My heart was racing, but I didn't feel weak. I felt powerful. The silence was heavy, but it was the silence of a battlefield after the cannons have stopped firing. I had won the first battle. I knew Serafina wouldn't come to the house. That would have been too direct, too messy for her carefully managed image. She called me that evening. Her voice was pure, crystalline ice. "Beatrice," she said, cutting through my greeting. "I assume this is some sort of senile episode. I've already spoken to our lawyer about emergency competency hearings." I laughed. I actually laughed out loud. It bubbled up from my chest, rich and genuine. "Oh, Serafina," I said, taking a slow sip of my tea. "You really have no idea who you're talking to, do you? You think because I bake pies and men's socks that I'm soft? I managed the complete financials for my late husband's international trading firm for 30 years. I know exactly what I'm doing. And if you try to drag me into court, I will bring the ledger. Do you want the judge to see that I paid for your $3,000 monthly esthetician bills and your subscription service for premium organic dog food? Do you want the court to see that Alistair claimed a family loan from me to cover his golf tournament dues?" There was a sharp, terrified intake of breath on the other end of the line. "I didn't think so," I continued, my voice gaining glacial speed. "You see, Serafina, you made a mistake. You thought my generosity was weakness. You thought you could treat me like an old piece of furniture, useful, but better kept in the attic when company comes. But that piece of furniture, my dear, owns the deed and holds the notes on your entire existence." "You're being cruel," she hissed, the ice beginning to crack into fury. "What about the grandchildren? Are you going to let them suffer because of your ego?" "The grandchildren are welcome at my house any time," I said firmly. "I will bake them cookies. I will read them stories. But I will not pay their private school tuition, which, by the way, is 4 months overdue. If you can't afford it, perhaps you should sell the high-performance sedan or cancel the yacht club membership. They are capable of thriving in public school, just as their father did." "I will never forgive you for this," she said, the fury dissolving into a desperate, theatrical sob. "That's perfectly fine," I replied. "I haven't asked for your forgiveness. I'm asking for your respect. And until I get it, the Bank of Beatrice is permanently closed." I hung up on her. Click. Silence. It was the most satisfying sound in the world. Peace. The next few days were quiet, painfully quiet. The phone stopped ringing. No texts, no visits. I was alone. And in the silence, the doubt, the inevitable specter of a mother's guilt, started to creep in. Had I gone too far? Was I a terrible mother? I sat in my armchair by the window, watching the cold rain fall, feeling the deep ache of separation. It is hard to cut off a limb, even if it is gangrenous with contempt. It still hurts. On the 4th day of silence, there was a gentle, rhythmic rapping at the door. Not the frantic pounding of an angry son, but a quiet, polite knock. I opened it to find Estella, my 19-year-old granddaughter. She was holding a large, steaming Tupperware container and looking sheepish. "Hi, Grandma," she said. "Can I come in?" "Of course, sweetheart," I said, my voice thick with sudden, overwhelming emotion. She walked in and set the container on the table. "I made a shepherd's pie," she said. "It's probably not as good as yours, but I wanted to bring you something." I felt tears prick my eyes. This small, unexpected gesture of care was worth more than the entire lifestyle I had been subsidizing. "Thank you, Estella." She sat down at the table and looked at her hands. "Mom and Dad are. It's really bad at home," she said quietly. "They're fighting constantly about money, about you. I imagine they are. They said you went crazy." She looked up at me, her eyes clear and intelligent, bearing a striking resemblance to my late husband's. "But I don't think that's true. I saw the list, Grandma. Dad left it on the kitchen counter when he ran out." My breath caught. "You saw it?" "Yeah. 150 active things. I had no idea. I didn't know you paid for my college car insurance. I didn't know you paid for everything." She reached across the table and gently took my hand. Her skin was soft, young and warm. "I'm sorry," she said. "I'm sorry we took so much. I'm sorry we didn't say thank you." A single tear rolled down my cheek. This was it. This was the acknowledgement I had been starving for. Not the money, not the control, just the simple, devastating recognition. "Thank you, Estella," I whispered. "That means more than you know." "Mom is saying we have to sell the house," she continued, her voice gaining a fierce resolve. "And Dad is scrambling for a loan, but his credit isn't great because he never had to worry about it before. Grandma, I got a job at the campus library. I can pay for my own gas now and my insurance. I squeezed her hand, my heart swelling with fierce pride. That is wonderful, Estella. I am so proud of you. I don't want to be like them, she said, her voice quiet but absolute. I don't want to be helpless. You won't be, I promised her. You have your grandfather's spine. Estella stayed for dinner. We ate the shepherd's pie, which was surprisingly good, and we talked for hours. We didn't talk about money or Alistair or Serafina. We talked about her classes, about the books she was reading, about her future. For the first time in years, I felt like I was having a conversation with a family member who actually saw me. When she left, she hugged me tight. I love you, Grandma, she whispered. And good for you. I watched her drive away, feeling a warmth spreading through my chest. I had lost a son and a daughter-in-law, perhaps temporarily, perhaps forever. But I had found my granddaughter, and in the process, I had found myself. 2 weeks later, the chaos was palpable, even at a distance. I heard through the grapevine, my bridge partner, Margaret, who spoke to Serafina's mother, that the luxury sedan was gone. The yacht club membership had been cancelled. They were frantically downsizing, angry. Yes, but surviving. They were being forced to become competent adults. One evening, I was sitting on my porch, the porch of my own paid-off, comfortable home, sipping my tea. The air was cool, smelling of damp leaves and chimney smoke. A familiar, dark car pulled up. It was Alistair's, the one that had replaced the performance model. He got out slowly. He looked tired. He looked older. He walked up the path, his hands shoved deep into his pockets. He didn't charge up the steps this time. He stood at the bottom, looking up at me, hesitant. Hi, Mother, he said. Hello, Alistair, I replied. I did not invite him up. Not yet. I brought back the watch, he said, pulling a small box from his pocket. I couldn't sell it. It felt wrong. I sold the other stuff, but this, you gave this to me. He walked up the steps and placed the box on the railing. I don't want the watch, Alistair, I said gently. It was a gift. It belongs to you. He looked at the box, then at me. His eyes were red-rimmed. I don't deserve it. I don't deserve any of it. No, I agreed, my voice soft but firm. You didn't. But you can earn it. You can earn the right to wear it as a man, not as a subsidized boy. He nodded, swallowing hard. It's hard, Mom. It's really hard. We're struggling. I know, I said. And I have faith in you. You are smart, Alistair. You are capable. You will figure it out. Serafina is still furious, he admitted. That, I said, is Serafina's burden to carry. Not mine. He looked at me with a strange expression, a mixture of fear and dawning respect. You really aren't going to bail us out, are you? No, I said. I love you too much to enable you any longer. He let out a long, shaky breath. Okay. He turned to leave, then stopped. Can I come for dinner sometime? Just me and the kids. No business. No exclusive guests. Just dinner. I smiled, a real, genuine smile that reached my eyes. I would like that very much, Alistair. How about next Tuesday? I'll make roast lamb with mint. I'd love that, he said. Thanks, Mom. I watched him walk back to his car. He walked differently now. He walked heavier, yes, carrying the weight of his own life, but he walked steadier. He was finally becoming a man. I sat back in my chair and took a sip of my tea. The air was getting cool, but I didn't feel the chill. I felt warm. I felt whole. I had spent a lifetime thinking that love meant giving until there was nothing left. I had thought that being a good mother meant being a doormat. But I had learned the hard way that you cannot buy respect. You cannot finance love. And sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is close the bank. There is a peace that comes when you finally stop apologizing for taking up space in your own life. It's a quiet peace, a strong peace. I looked at my garden, at the roses I had pruned. They were already pushing out new growth, green and vibrant. I went inside and opened the drawer. The Alistair and Serafina's seamless existence file was still there. I took it out and walked to the kitchen trash can. I didn't need to burn it. I didn't need a ceremony. I just dropped it in. It was trash. It was the past. I walked into the living room and picked up my knitting. I had a cashmere sweater to finish for Estella. And maybe, just maybe, I would start one for myself. Cashmere, something expensive, something comfortable, because I deserved to live comfortably, too. I sat there in the quiet of my home, the home I owned, the life I owned. And I realized something profound. I had been given an eviction notice, but it was I who had been set free. The fire in my hearth was burning bright. And for the first time in a long time, I was the one sitting closest to the flame. It's never too late to reclaim your dignity. It's never too late to teach people how to treat you. It's never too late to say no. The pecan pie that night, I ate a slice of it myself. And let me tell you, it was the sweetest thing I had ever tasted.